Hi, so at this point you're ready for your concession paragraph, paragraph 4, where we acknowledge the counterclaim, refute the counterclaim, and all the while tie it back to the thesis to, really drive it home. So these two boxes right here, acknowledging a possible counterclaim and providing a rebuttal to refute that counterclaim, these are probably for almost all of you not based in research. These are probably based in logic. And so you're not really probably going to be copying it over from any note cards unless maybe you jotted it down on a note card so you wouldn't forget it. The big thing that you might remember from the counterclaim and rebuttal video that you had to watch the other day is that you need to really acknowledge a counterclaim, what somebody would have against your charity that has to be true. You can't say somebody might not like my charity because they don't like what letter it starts with. That's not a real argument that anybody would have against your charity. So make sure it's an actual argument that somebody would really have against your charity. So my charity is Possibilities, which is that animal shelter one. So I wrote, oftentimes people argue that charities focused on human needs take a greater priority over charities centered on the needs of animals. And that really is what people usually do say. Now, how I rebutted that, and this you need to do as well. If the counterclaim makes a good point, you can't just say, "Well, that's a bad point." No, you should acknowledge that it made a good point. So that's what I did. While it is undeniable that human needs are important and the world is full of extreme human suffering, it is also true that without our help, animal-based charities such as Possibilities that provide critical aid to animals in need will not be able to exist. I remember I took this was the third reason from my thesis statement. I already named this in my first paragraph. Um, so now what I need to do is insert the info from my counterclaim note cards. You might remember this from my video the other day. So I went into NoodleTools. I have two counterclaim note cards, and I'm going to copy and paste both of them, the information from both of them into my outline, of course. The way I happen to write on my note cards, I already weave it into paragraphs. That's the way I am. You probably might do that, or you might just have bullet points. And if that's you, then what we're going to have to do is create them into a nice little paragraph right here. So I've pasted my two note cards are both right here. Let's take a look. I'm going to point out what I did and how you need to copy what I did. So I wrote, according to Charity Navigator, a nonprofit organization that evaluates and rates American charities, the biggest animal-based charities bring in only 1/10 of what the largest charities in the U.S. bring in. In other words, animal-based charities only receive a fraction of the donation amounts that other charities receive. They are already at a disadvantage. So that was one of my counterclaim note cards. I pasted the other one right here, but I added the word furthermore because this is a nice transition and you need to do the same thing. Furthermore, Possibilities explains on their website that most of their funding comes from private donations, while around 5% is from government sources. This means that they rely heavily on donors to help their cause. In short, giving to animal-based charities, especially one as effective as Possibilities, is the only way these life-saving organizations can continue to exist. Here's what I did that you need to do. I said things like, according to Charity Navigator, or Possibilities explains on their website. You need to do that even if it's not a direct quote. So even if you're going to be paraphrasing, I need to know where that paraphrasing came from. And if you're sick of saying according to, there are other ways of saying it, such and such explains on their website, or as stated on the website. There's many ways of saying that. The other thing that I did that you must do, and this is throughout your whole paper, after you give a little fact like this, you need to then explain it in your own words. So like in other words, and then restate what was important about that, or something like this means, or in short. All of these things are helping me to rephrase what was just being said so I can really make sure my readers are getting the point. But we have a problem. While this box, in my opinion, it does support my rebuttal, I need to explain how. So right here in this box, and this box is going to be tricky, but we will help you through it. I need to explain how my evidence refutes the counterclaim. So how does this actually support my rebuttal that refutes my counterclaim? Remember, my rebuttal here is that without donations, without our help, animal-based charities can't exist. My support for that was that animal-based charities only bring in 1/10 of what other charities bring in. And my other support was that my charity only gets 5% from the government. The rest is from donors. So I need to explain that here's my advice for you. Try to think of it as an if-then type of thing. Like, because of this, this is true. Or since this is true, it proves my rebuttal. Something like that. So here we go. I'm going to type it really fast. There it is. Since Possibilities relies almost exclusively on donations, and since animal-based charities are already at a disadvantage when it comes to receiving donations, it is extremely important for people to continue to support animal-based charities. If people do not support animal-based charities due to the logic that human needs are more important, then the critical and life-saving work that Possibilities is doing will not be possible. In other words, the many animals they currently save would be doomed to a life of suffering. So what I've done here is I have thoroughly made my reader understand that this person's counterclaim, while it might make a good point, it's not good enough to say that Possibilities doesn't deserve support. After you've read this paragraph, you're going to be thinking, all right, she made a good point. Probably you're not thinking that, but that's what I'm hoping you're thinking. So this box is a hard box. I like to think of it as an if-then type of thing. Remember to tie these two boxes together, which is what this box is. This is where you pretty much explain your logic. That's what this is all about. Explain how your logic is working. That's what we're pretty much asking you. After you've watched this video, don't move on to the next video. Actually complete this 4th paragraph.